Hello, everyone. I hope you're all doing great and it's been a wonderful time in your lives. Today, we have a special guest here. We have Mr. Avirat Shete. And how do I introduce him? I
Hello.
think he is all rolled into one, a multi-dimensional personality. He's a teacher, he is a traveler, he is an avid artist, and whatnot. And of course, a father as well. So, welcome to you, Avirat Shete. And if I may say, thank you so much for joining in. And I would love you to talk a little bit about yourself and introduce yourself for our audience.
First of all, thank you so much, Ram, for having me here. It's always a pleasure to share a little bit of what I have gathered in the last 44 years on this planet. I really love to share it with people who are eager to listen. So, as Ram has already explained, I am a teacher. Me and Ram, we share a very special kind of bond. I have taught him as a commerce student, and then I have learned a lot of things from him after he became a trainer. So, it's a true give and take relation, I would say. Or, as in commerce, we say that every debit has an equal and corresponding credit. So that's how it has been. And I always admire the way Ram shares things and updates himself regularly and also keeps sharing knowledge. So when we discussed about this conversation, I was more than keen to be a part of this and do my bit to add some value in the world.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. So, without any further ado, let's get into the topic of our discussion today. So, we are here to discuss about how do we make the right choices in life? Often a very difficult question to answer. So, let's put it back to our guest. So, Avirat, what do you think? How do you go about making the right choices in your life, per se?
Listen to your gut. I always tell everyone that normally your gut, normally people say we think from here, but the intuitive thinking happens from here, from your gut. And normally your gut always gives you a signal. It's like from age old times, from the time when we were hunters and gatherers. From that time, there is something called as a gut, which gives us the right signals when we meet someone, when we listen to a business proposal, when we are attending an interview in a company. Normally, your gut is telling you at that moment whether this is the right choice or not. And most of the times, if you go against your gut feeling, you will end up making wrong decisions. I have experiences myself, and gut may give you a wrong signal once upon a time, but 9 on 10, I depend on my gut. And I have really made some very special friends, made great choices in my career. And every time I have not paid attention to my gut feeling, I have suffered heavily in terms of money as well as in terms of some business opportunity or relation. So gut.
Okay, that's interesting. Now, a lot of times, because you have been teaching for such a long period now, uh, you often have students who are stuck in their life, maybe in their academic career earlier, and later when they join the corporate world as well, they are often clueless about what to do and what not to do. What has been your take on this particular area?
So now there are people who get stuck for various reasons. Sometimes it's just middle age. Sometimes it's getting stuck in a toxic relationship. So my students talk to me about not just their professional issues. Thankfully, they find me trustworthy enough to discuss their personal life also. So whether it is being stuck in a toxic relation or in a wrong job or in a wrong friendship, you again the same thing here is, why do you want this to change? I always ask them this question. My father always told me when he taught us accountancy that you should know the why behind what you're learning. I asked him the same question. Why do you think you're stuck? Why do you think you can't move forward? So sometimes the answer is fear, sometimes the answer is uncertainty, sometimes it's just no, I am happy in this comfort zone. If I do something new, I will have to start over again. Once I understand their why, then I am able to suggest the right choices that they should make. So sometimes it is my choice. One of the suggestions is completely cut yourself off from the rest of the world for, say, the next 1 month and just focus on listening to yourself. Many a time students have come back and told me that yes, that 1 month of sabbatical from social media and everyone else gave them true insights into what they are themselves. Sometimes my suggestion is for them to meditate. Sometimes the suggestion is to go out there and try to make new friends. Just go out and talk to any random person today and introduce yourself and ask them how they are. Do you know now how difficult this is? Even someone like me who speaks regularly, or you who train people regularly, if you are asked to go and speak to a random person with whom you have no connect, it is quite a challenge. But those of you who do that difficult part, they do experience that, yes, I felt great when I stepped out of my comfort zone. So stepping out of the comfort zone is always the best choice to make, according to me.
Sure, sure, absolutely. I think that's a wonderful piece of advice. Now, you also spoke about the choices we make in terms of the friends that we have. You spoke about your friends and how you're proud of them and happy with them. But a lot of people do not make the right choice when it comes to having friends in their life. Sometimes it just happens subconsciously, or may I say unconsciously as well. So is there a process by which you choose your friends or the people who are there in your life?
Um, See, I like to use an example. A raindrop, when it falls from the cloud, if it falls on a leaf, it will glisten for a while and drop off. If it falls in the sea and it gets trapped in a shell, it will become a pearl. But if it falls into the gutter, it will become part of the gutter. So it depends on us where we want to go. Sometimes we don't get the choice, but even if we do not get the choice, we can force it. Unlike the rainwater, which has no life and it cannot decide where to go, we have the conscious choice. So I always say, audit your friend list on a regular basis. Audit your friend, because the top 5 people with whom you spend maximum time, and I mean online also, offline plus online, जिनके साथ आप maximum time बिताते, that is the kind of person you're automatically going to become. You will mirror their personality. So uh, in Marathi, my mother tongue, we have a saying that ढवळा शेजारी पवळ्या बांधला गुण नाही पण वान लागला, which means that if a bad personality is kept next to a good personality, chances are high that the bad one will affect, or he will make the good one rotten. We also know the example of the one rotten mango which spoils the entire basket. So we don't see in which house we were born was not our choice. But as we grow up, then it depends on us what conscious choices we make. And we definitely, so I am very, very lucky that I'm surrounded by achievers. I'm surrounded by people with empathy. I'm surrounded by people who want to do great in life. I'm surrounded by people who are always ready to offer a helping hand to everyone they come in contact with. So my friends are doctors, engineers, CEOs, lawyers, teachers, all kinds. But everyone has these qualities in common. So I never become lazy. I never become over smart, because yeah, those two biggest enemies of any human. My students will remember laziness and over smartness. Stay away from them. That is why surround yourself with the right kind of people. You are sorted for life.
Great. Surround yourself with the right kind of people. I think that's something that we all must try and do in any sphere of our life, not just while we're studying or early in our corporate world. Now,
Absolutely.
one of the areas that a lot of people struggle with, and I see this every now and then, is managing their finances. So could you tell me some of your experiences with making the right financial choices? You also spoke about some of the blunders that you made. So how do you go about it?
Uh, First thing first, I would like to suggest to everyone, based on my own personal experience, do not lend money to someone unless you know their credit worthiness. Someone might be a great friend, relative, an old employee, or whosoever. I have got lessons. I won't say experiences. I've got lessons from all these categories of people. People literally, someone who I've seen growing up asked for money and I kept lending, and now a huge amount is yet to be received. So one lesson from my mistakes, which you should never do: do not lend money haphazardly without checking the credit worthiness of that person. Sir, but how do we say no? If you say no once, first of all, do it diplomatically, uh, be politically correct. But when you say no twice or thrice, that person will stop asking you for money. But once you give it one time, they're going to come back to you and keep asking. And India is the only country where you need to explain why you need your own money back.
Yeah.
So do not give unsecured loans to people. One, if they don't like it, if they want to get out of your life because of that, so be it. So be it. It depends on how important that person is. He or she is so important that you can bet your hard-earned money on them. Fine, by all means, lend them money. But if again that gut feeling, that little voice in your tummy, if it says no, don't do it. Now, when it comes to finances, I heavily rely on my younger brother. I teach accountancy, but my practical accounts are taken care of by my brother. So I said, surround yourself with the right people. I am not a very financially, I won't say literate guy. I definitely know all of it, but I'm a little lazy about that because I have my own younger brother who takes care of it. Now, of course, you might say there's a risk. What if he turns hostile someday? Yeah, then I will, then I will be in trouble. But there is an age when generally brothers can do that to each other. So we've been working together now for 20 years. 20 years we've been working together. So obviously, I know that he has got the ethics from our parents exactly the way I have.
Yeah.
So there's no question of any money laundering or something like that happening. But yes, according to all discussions that we have, do not park your money in the same place. So if you are only investing in mutual funds, bad idea. If you're only investing in share market, bad idea. If you're only putting money in the in gold or land, no, diversified. Every financial expert you meet will tell you to diversify. So now, how much percentage to put in which instrument? That depends on your age and your risk appetite. I do not want to get into the details of it here because that will be another separate discussion for some finance expert. But yes, make sure that you have a great lawyer in your life, you have a great doctor in your life, you have a great chartered accountant in your life. You definitely need these three apart from the friends that you have, because these are the people who will plan your health and your wealth. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're bang on target there when you talk about the kind of professionals that you need to have in life. And you spoke about your younger brother and resorting to his advice when it comes to financial matters, or perhaps you might require a lawyer's services or a doctor. So I think it's important to have these pool of people who are good at certain things where you might lack knowledge in. Now, that brings me to my next question, which is about investing or making choices in terms of relationships. Now, there are certain relationships that we are all blessed with, whether it's our parents, our siblings, to an extent. But there are so many other relationships that we have to choose on our own. And you spoke about friends, but let's talk about the more deeper ones, which is about choosing a life partner. So any specific tips that you would like to suggest to the younger ones who are about to get married, for that matter?
All right. Do not marry anyone just for his or her looks. Okay, one biggest thing. Obviously, as a human, we get attracted to things that are, good to the eye. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
But please do not make a final decision based on this. You might get completely mesmerized by someone's beauty, or handsome looks and all. But he or she may not be worth it once you get to know them better. So please get to know that person better. Marry a person with a golden heart. Now, again, in today's world, live in relationship, marriage, whether you want to marry someone or have a live in relation, whether it is a heterogeneous marriage or a same sex marriage, all these things are common to these relationships. Don't marry anyone for their looks. Marry someone with a golden heart, someone who is empathetic, someone who is ambitious. Yes, because we definitely want ambitious. The ambitious doesn't mean someone who runs after money only. That person should be ambitious about your relation also.
Yeah.
That person should be ambitious about developing this relation into the next level also. Just like you guys play a lot of games, so you cross level 1, level 2, level 3. Same way, when you enter into a relationship, you must up the levels regularly, otherwise that game will become outdated and obsolete. So there is a shelf life to everything. We know that there's a 7-year itch. So I got married in 2000. Now 2000 and now this is 23. So 23 years it's been like that. Not that I have had a run like this. The run has been, so there will be ups and downs, but so long as things become stable, it's all okay. It's all in the end, it's all that matters. So the golden heart thing, okay, because looks are going to be temporary, man. My forehead wasn't this large few years back.
Yeah.
I didn't have, my hands did not have all these, wrinkles coming up. I'm 44. When I'm 64, it will be further visible. But that doesn't matter because what I have here can't change. Simple as that.
Sure. Now, someone might argue and say, well, it's easier said than done to choose a person with a golden heart. But how do you really identify someone on face value? I mean, you might ignore the looks part of it, but is it really that straightforward to identify someone who's got a golden heart in the first place?
If you've seen Lage Raho Munna Bhai, where, Munna Bhai is being a radio jockey, and there's a girl who goes to a restaurant to meet a match which her parents have selected for her, but she's unsure whether I should, say yes to this guy or not. So he gives her a suggestion through Bapu, of course. Munna gives a suggestion that you just check if he calls to the waiter with respect, he's the guy for you, and if he is like, hey, then he is not the right guy. So there are many silent communicators which you should learn to observe. And this can come, just read some good books about body language and identify how to learn from someone's body language, and you will see that person gives out a lot of signals, both good as well as bad.
Yeah.
And that will help you understand if it's a person with golden heart or if it's just a mask, a facade.
Yeah.
Because a person can't put up a mask for a long time. And especially when he is off guard, when he or she is off guard, try to surprise the person by meeting him or her when least expected. Check the reaction. Do something like which will startle them. Check the reaction. Normally, these are the things that give away a person's true personality. Small things, but big insights.
True, absolutely. I think that could be a small litmus test that you could perform to identify people's behavior and personalities and how they respond to different situations. I think that's a wonderful tip. Now, talking about making some right choices, we often end up making poor choices as well, and we are all part of that. As human beings, we can't ignore it. Has there been a situation in your life where you made a wrong choice, and then maybe when you look back at it, you regretted that decision or you learned something from it? Any such experience you would like to share for our viewers?
There are a lot of them, honestly. As I said, when I'm here giving you these tips, it's not that I was born with all that. I have learned all these things through experience. Some through experience of others, some of my own. So yes, there was one faculty which my father had appointed many years ago when I was still a student. But then there was a little bit of a small voice in my head saying that something is wrong here. And I should have listened to it, and I could have even forewarned my father, because forewarned is forearmed. But ignoring that and making that person the most important teacher in our institute, only to had to see that he took away half of our students and betrayed the trust and all that. It was quite heartbreaking. I was just 20 years old at that time. So at that young age, I got this solid lesson that you don't trust people blindly. You do not. And do not ignore that tiny voice in your head or your heart which says, careful, this doesn't seem right. So this was one incident. And my father literally rose like a phoenix to take care of the sinking ship. Otherwise, we would have been doomed by then. This is one. Another one, an employee which I had hired a few years back. I kept getting a lot of signals from my other team members that this person is not fit for our culture. At Shete's Institute, we have a culture which is family-like. We do not stick to, okay, this is my, what do you call that in your corporate language? This is what I'm supposed to do. This is my job profile.
Yeah.
So I will not do anything beyond that. No, I myself swept the floor here. My senior Ajay sir, he has mopped the floor. He has painted the walls when the class was new. So my own brother and even senior staff, they do not hesitate to even wash the utensils here if required. So when that person had made these kind of statement that this is not my job profile, I'm not going to do this, or somebody told me that this person was asking me for money twice or thrice. Now these things were warning signal that I should take action against the employee. But me being me, unnecessarily kind, I was like, nahi, someday this person will come into our culture and that person will adjust and we will make a good person out of this XYZ. That was not to be. And it cost us a lot of headache.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely. I can assist you with
still
that.
trying to ease that headache.
Sure. So, that brings me to another question there, because you've been an entrepreneur as well, most part of your life, and you keep recruiting people for your team as well. So how do you go about choosing the right kind of people who will be part of your team? Is there a process that you follow for that?
Yeah. So whenever I'm interviewing someone, first of all, the CV has to be something that is very strong and it calls my attention to certain key factors. So someone can make the CV very, very well, but if there are fake words, again, experienced people can see through. So as they say in financial management, that there are people who read the lines, the good ones read between the lines, and the very experienced and you know critically appraisive people, they'll read beyond the lines. So I look to the into the CV beyond the lines. If I feel there is something that is not right, I do not invite that person at all for the interview. Now when someone does make it through and sits in front of me for the interview, my first question is, why do you want to do this? For example, if I'm hiring a teacher, I want to know why they want to be a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And if that why is clearly answered and it satisfied my sensibilities and it fits with the culture of my organization, I will hire that teacher. Even though he or she may be very costly, I will hire. But if the why is not clear, or if the why comes as a parroted answer, as a learned by rote answer, that's the time I say no to people. And the earlier employment which I spoke about, it was this was the same. Even during the interview, I had sensed something is not right, but I did not listen to it and ended up making a huge mistake. So the why of the reason why you want to join my institute and the reason why you want to be either a teacher or b a data operator or c a cashier, whatever it is, it has to be very clear. My why of being a teacher is very clear. I'm passionate about sharing knowledge. I'm passionate about uh, passing on knowledge to the younger generation, to make them read beyond books. Mm, Clear. There are many class owners who have stopped teaching because they wanted to grow business. I simply can't, because my why is very clear.
Sure, sure. Absolutely. I think that that's a very pertinent point. You got to know why the other person wants to do whatever he or she wants to do. I think that's an important element to look at. Now, having spoken about all this, we will continue to make bad choices and poor choices in our life, right? We often want to go ahead with the template, but sometimes the template fails. So whenever
Yeah.
we make wrong choices or poor choices, we tend to feel guilty about it. Is there any mechanism that you have in place to, one, not feel guilty, or rather to overcome this guilt and then move on to the next project that you have at hand? What do you do in that case?
See, first of all, to feel guilty after making a mistake is human. It's quite natural. So first of all, if you do feel guilty after making a wrong choice, don't bash yourself up too much, because it is bound to happen. I have gone through those phases myself. But having said that, after going through that guilt, let's ensure that we do a thorough self-analysis. Okay, being in guilt and wallowing in self-pity is not going to help any cause. But once that phase is over, that phase of feeling guilty, feeling sorry, once you get into over that zone, then you start making a list of why this happened, what could have been avoided, and what lessons I have learned, which I am not going to forget henceforth. Once these three questions are answered, then you do a kind of a retrospective analysis and things automatically will get back on track. Okay. See, people survive even after their own parents have died. People who gave birth to you, they pass away and you still continue with your life after a few days of grieving, right?
Sure.
Same way, if you made a mistake, fine, you did that. Own up to it. The first thing is, the first important thing is do not evade that responsibility. You made that mistake. You had to take responsibility. This is because of me. And now I am the one who's going to correct it. Don't blame the whole world around you. That is escapism. So do this analysis. And in fact, I would also suggest if you can do a SWOT analysis, that would be best. So strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So SWOT analysis of you as a person, that will help you a lot. And you will not make those mistakes. And if you still can't, one last thing, if you still can't come out of the guilt, I would suggest take the help of spiritualism. You may be a religious person or not, but being spiritual always helps. So sit in some dhyana mudra, some meditation pose, or just listen to calming, soothing music and focus on your breathing. You can learn techniques of meditation from experts, but if that can be done 10, 15 minutes every day, I'm sure it will help you bounce back. Right?
Sure. I think that's really wonderful. You summed it up very nicely. Now, a last question, which I think is one of the topics that we often talk hours together, is would you recommend some books that have inspired you in life? Maybe some of these books can also help others.
Definitely. One classic which never gets old, You Can Win by Shiv Khera. Then there is another one, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
That's Dale
Napoleon Hill,
Carnegie.
Think and Grow Rich. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Some books never get old. You can read them at any age, any number of times.
True.
And yes, I definitely want you to read the book Start with Why. If you are going to be an entrepreneur, if you want to if you're ambitious about your career, if you are someone who is a team leader, you need to read the book Start with Why by Simon Sinek.
Yes.
Okay, and Simon Sinek has also written another wonderful book, Leaders Eat Last.
Yeah.
So please, if you are leadership material, you need to know these books. And yes, I have made a pact with myself. Every week, I read about one successful person. It could be anywhere. It could be on Wikipedia. It could be on that one person's website or through some third-party website. Every week, one person. Now just think about it. It could be anything. It could be anyone from Ratan Tata to APJ Abdul Kalam to A.R. Rahman to Sachin Tendulkar to Henry Ford. Random personalities. One personality per week. 52 personalities in a year. 500 plus personalities in 10 years.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a very viable point.
It's like reading a wonderful book at your own pace.
Yeah, absolutely. And that adds tremendous value to your personality. And at the same time, you get to read about what others do in their life to become successful or become the kind of person that they have become. Great. True. Wonderful.
And Ram, one more thing I would like to add.
Sure.
Those of you who are allergic to reading, there are audiobooks available, there are podcasts available. Please go for that. So that excuse no longer stands. And having said that, one more thing. There's a saying, since long number of years, readers become leaders. So never forget that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I think that's bang on target. Bingo. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Avirat, for having shared your knowledge and insights. It was really wonderful listening to all the ups and downs that you spoke about, whether it comes to relationships, business, or even learning from your younger brother. I think you made a bouquet of your insights and presented it to the listeners. Thank you once again for having shared this knowledge, and would definitely love to have you back here to share more of your thoughts with the listeners. And once again, wishing you all the very best for your life, and we'll look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you so much, Ram. It was pleasure answering your questions. You also chose the questions and articulated this entire conversation so well. Thank you so much. And yes, do let me know the feedback from the viewers, and I'll be more than happy to be back here with another topic.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye.
Absolutely. Thank you so much once again, and enjoy the rest of the day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.